Aliens are real. This may be hard to stomach, but you have to, because there is no other option. Prepare for the top 7 most believable and frightening alien encounterers of the third extraterrestrial kind. Alien encounterer at the bogs.
One night, on October night, I was wading through a thick bog to get to a dim light I spied through the fog. I had gotten lost, looking for big hopping frogs, which I needed for my frog town. I had found none, and only seen a dim burning light through the fog and couldn't help but walk towards it. As I got closer, I noticed a stumpy wooded cabin built of bogwood. The fog grew denser as I grew closer. The air had condensed so much I was completely drenched in bog fog, even up to my tippy top. As I slogged through the slop and grime piled amongst the creepy cabin, I grew the courage to raise my freshly swamped, grimed, spindly, pingy appendages to grasp the door handle. I yanked and yonked, but it would not come loose. Suddenly, the giant door swung open to reveal a horribly ugly and gross and slimy and gross extraterrestrial alien man. I was shook and shaken, but he was nice, even though he lived in the bog, so he drove me home, and I was okay.
The GameStop terror.
It was a dark and stormy night, but it wasn't quite past 11 o'clock, so the local GameStop was still open. I grew up always interested in aliens and gaming with aliens, so you can imagine my immense surprise when I marched into GameStop, prepared to purchase the latest Halo 2 video game, when a crazy green alienoid was sitting behind the games desk. He told me he worked at GameStop and was eager to give me Halo 2 for free. He walked into the back room to fetch a copy, but he came back empty-handed with just a copy of Halo Combat Evolved instead. This made me quite angry because I already had a copy of Halo Combat Evolved at my house, sitting inside of my Xbox disc tray. I called the alien a little green bastard, and he zapped me. I don't remember what happened next, but I remember that I next woke up in my house with a copy of Halo 2. I went back to GameStop to thank that little green bastard and apologize, but instead GameStop had already gone out of business. This sucked.
Tyson and the horrible debacle of Mr. E.T. It was a stormy and dark night, but it wasn't quite past my bedtime, so I was in a Skype call with my good friends. I can't use their real names, so I'll just call him Tyson. Okay, so this Tyson guy was in the call and decided to turn on his webcam. When he turned it on, I was shocked, baffled, bamboozled, awe-stricken, and terrified to see an alien menace lurking behind him. I asked him what was up with this alien menace behind him, and he told me not to worry. This alien was just a friend by the name of Mr. E.T.
Hey, this is number 4.5, micro story. Please don't tell anyone, but there is an extra story. Despite the name of this video saying 7 only, this was not supposed to make it to the final release, but I made it in here anyways. Don't tell anyone.
Number 4. Car Fiend and the Maniacal Corn Alien from Outer Earth.
It was on a very scary and partially horrifying day in the middle of September, and I decided that I was going to go for a nice and lengthy walk. Immediately after stepping outside onto my sun-soaked front porch, I was bashed in the skull into my house by a rampant car, probably with angry driver inside. I woke up in the hospital and healed over a period of 5 to 6 months. Once I was better, I had to go on a nice long walk back to my house from the doctor's office, but I was too scared to use the roads because I now had a debilitating fear of motor vehicles. I decided it would be a better idea to take the cornfields back home instead. Little did I know that cornfields are commonly cited as #1 little green men hideout zone. If I had known this, I probably would have just stayed at the infirmary instead, but I did not know this. As I walked amidst the corn crop, I was ambushed by a tiny green guy who put me in his flying saucer and took me to the sky. It was a dark and stormy night in the sky when the alien told me it was time to be probed. I did not want to be probed. I gave this greeny-ass short guy a solid left hook in his teeny verdant face and bolted. Meanwhile, I forgot I was in the sky and plummeted back down to Earth. But it was okay, because I forgot to mention earlier that my house has a trampoline in the backyard. And I just chose to land in that so I would not get hurt. However, the trampoline failed me and bounced me back into the alien spaceship at rocket velocity. My body penetrated the ship's weak alienoid hull, and it fell to the ground in the Fury Hell Blast. Meanwhile, I fell to ground in a graceful swan pose, without getting hurt even a little bit. I decided to never walk in cornfield or look at cornfield ever again, and took the road home. Thankfully, I did not get hit by a car. The end.
#3. Stupid Green Man.
When I was a young man of age 21, I bought my own house. It was big and looked cool. Look how cool it is. Residing within the basement was a tiny green man of just 5 inches tall. He was gross and slimy and ran everywhere, so I clomped him to gooshy, greeny goop beneath my clomping clogs.
Additional astonishing astronomical alien actuality. Aliens are very cool at Outer Planetarium Basketball.
#2. Spaceship Fighters. Once upon a time, in a universe where bug aliens exist with powerful meteor attacks, a mean bug sent one of these meteors hurtling towards the planet Earth. This was not good. Back on Earth, the Ultra government found out about this devious alien blast attack and put a halt to their nonsense by blasting the attack back to outer space. Meanwhile, there was a guy in school, I think his name was Casper, and he was studying for a test to become a bug-fighting Marine. He must have passed this test, because the next scene I remember was when he went in a government spaceship to stop this meteor with some of his friends. Casper then flew back to Earth, all triumphant-like, and became the #1 meteor-fighting alien slayer of all time, simply for thwarting diabolical alien plan to break the Earth. One of his friends died, though, and it was sad. #1. Space Gonk.
This is a true and scary story that my Grampy Peppy Papa Popsy Dad told me when I was very young. He said, "One day, I was fighting my good fight in the Second World War when a big scary German man screamed at me when he attacked. I hate German men. I screamed and ran as fast as my figurative hooves would toss me. I ran and howled and bawled and also ran until the ground below turned creamy and gooped. I thought, this ground and leaves appears to have a strange green and gunky secretion lathered upon. This was not normal. I formed a glistening trail I found irresistible not to follow. I followed it for a fortnight until I finally reached a cave in the wilderness, its brim littered with a goop of my ire. The inside was an impenetrable armor of darkness for which my peepers were too weak. As I stepped inside, my pretty black booty sank amongst the sweltering hot glomp. It dripped from the ceiling and the walls like one big gooply orifice as I wandered so deep the light behind me was gone, I began to hear a gunky slooshing that was not my own. I panicked and ran, but the densely packed gack was too much, even for my fat clompers to overcome. I fell to the ground with a sploosh as the funky bonk enveloped me. A dim lamp was lit as I sunk among gunk. It lit a pale gray face covered in hair with big black eyes staring straight at me. He peered straight at my glimpering eyeballs and softly told me he got lost and forgot how to exit the cave. I screamed at the tippy top of my gumpy lungs as the slime consumed me. I had seen an alien and now he is sinking me to my doom! My screams resonated from the walls of the cave, and the terrible alien man watched as I slowly sank in the stank to my untimely demise. This was the end. Just then I awoke in my bed, comfy and sound. I chuckled to myself at the fictional nightmare I had endured. Or so I thought. Once I removed my blanket covering and spied my own self, I shrieked. My sleeping jorts were sogged from top to bottom! I couldn't believe my sweet seekers, but I know what I saw. My jorts were caked in thick and viscous goops and real! I still scream to this day.
Number 0. Outro this world.
You once went on popular video media website, YouTube. It was extremely boring until you found a specific video posted by some guy named Ted. And it was a blast! You learned so much about bugs, and so much about cards, and so damn much about alien stories, and you wanted more. Too bad. There's no more. So you, from the channel description, look for more. Holy moly! New videos every Tuesday? How's this possible? You sit in anxious anticipation for the cowboy video next Tuesday. Subscribing, liking, commenting this video. Let's wait. Hit the bell. As you do this, an alien beams you up onto his ship and makes you the leader of his people for being so smart and wise. You return to Earth as alien leader and USA president because you are so cool now, all thanks to me. Consider donating to my Patreon for this at www.patreon.com. Thanks, and have a top 10 day. The video won't end.
What do you mean? What do you mean?